I'm Staci Owen with the Hopeful Connection, and I have Kathy Glenn with me today, and she's going to sit down and just discuss her experience as a host home and with Restoring Hope. So welcome, Kathy.
Hi. Nice to be here.
Yes. Okay. So just tell me a little bit about your time at Restoring Hope. You've been here 10 years at this point?
I think 10 or 11,
Okay.
yeah. I have a couple of placements. I have 2 girls and a boy. One of my girls has been with me for 14 years, though. Yeah. So I brought her when I came to Restoring Hope, and we've been very happy since we came. And we feel like we have a lot of support and a great, even family in the community, as far as, you know, other homes that do what we do and that, you know my people and work with my people regularly. So we are pretty happy.
Yeah. Okay. So I knew you prior to coming to Restoring Hope. And so explain a little bit about, you know, you were not necessarily in caregiving full time when I met you. Mm-hmm. You and your husband, Don, both worked in the social service field. So how has that transition been as far as working in the industry to still being in the industry, but in a different role?
Before I was a service coordinator, and so was my husband. I did a different county than where I live. It was fun and exciting at first, but then it just kind of got a little bit monotonous, and I kind of felt like I was just putting out fires because there was too many people. I couldn't help everyone. There wasn't enough money to help everyone. So you have to prioritize one person's care over another. And I didn't like that. Yeah. We actually talked about getting into the host home program after I wrote a budget for one of them. Yeah. It was very interesting. And the whole concept of transitional living is amazing. And I can't believe that in Missouri, we are so far behind and we have not decided that this is the way to go for so many people. It's a different level of care, and it's just an opportunity of a lifetime for anybody that gets into one of these programs. So my husband and I were trying to have a kid, and it wasn't happening. I guess it just wasn't God's plan. We have a couple of really great puppies, a whole little farm. Sure. And we're doing great, but we got into this because we thought we could adopt a little kid, maybe preferably a kid with Down syndrome. And obviously that didn't happen. Right. We do have a couple of disabled puppies, but it never happened. And so we got a couple that couldn't live alone. And so they moved in with us, and quickly we figured out what was going on, and I told my husband that I needed more support at home to take care of the 2 of them. And so he decided that he was going to also quit his job and come and do this. And so we were like a 2-person team. Right. And we just kind of felt like, well, you know, if anybody could do it, we could, because we've, you know, both worked in psychology and have lots of, you know, interest in different areas. Anyway, we both, you know, have that interest and wanted to, you know, help somebody. And so anyway, we got this couple, and they moved in with us, and we figured out what was going wrong. And, you know, Dawn decided to come home and help me, and we were going to make this work, and we were going to, you know, save this other couple's marriage. Right. By, you know, role modeling and, you know, all of that. Well, that didn't work, but, she ended up staying with us, and he did eventually move on by his own choice. But she's been with us for 14 years, And so we kind of just fell into it. You know, we wanted to adopt. We looked for that.
Right.
But it just didn't happen. And this is kind of the path that God led us down.
Yeah.
And so now I've been doing it for 14 years with this one person, and I think 8.5 or maybe 9 with the other. And it's amazing. You see these, you basically get a kid. I mean, it's an adult in a kid's body.
Yeah.
They haven't had any experiences. They don't know the rules of society. They, haven't had anybody to teach them, even simple things like right from wrong and, just crazy things. So you basically start out with this kid in an adult's body and you help them figure it out, and they live with you and they become part of your family and you fall in love with them. And I mean, it's like, you don't really have a choice about whether you're going to do it forever,
Right.
Even I mentioned my husband and I are planning on like what's going to happen in our house and maybe somewhere else if, we are able to do some things that we're thinking about, so that, more people will have a place that will make sure that, their wishes come true and they understand that there are other countries and, there's an ocean out there that you can take them to see, as my friend Brandy Fajan mentioned.
Yep.
They don't know those things.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really good point as far as, they don't know what they don't know yet.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have had very isolated experiences.
Or horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Or very terrible, traumatic experiences, which honestly is one of my favorite things about the host home model, is being able to basically saturate them with so many different experiences and people in their lives that they haven't otherwise had, in previous experiences. So you referenced your gal. You started off with a couple, a husband and a wife, which I know probably was not the place that you had anticipated starting.
No, I wanted a kid.
Yeah. But then even as situations transitioned, you did have a couple of kids for a little while, older teens.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience.
It was awesome. I loved it. I was actually sure we were going to adopt one of the kids. Again, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, the plan. So it was short. I think I only had the one for a couple of years and then the other for maybe a year or maybe even less. Yeah. But they both have transitioned to other places. And I actually do still have contact with the one.
Yeah.
And he's doing good. I'm really proud of him. I talk to him, at least once a week. He's a good kid. And it wasn't in the plan for him to stay with us, but it's nice to be able to continue to see him grow and, mature. And I have a boy now. He's kind of my big baby.
Yep.
Yeah, he's kind of a 6-year-old in a man's body, and he's a big man.
Yep.
He's awesome. I love him to death. We've had him for 8.5 years now. How long have I had him? Do you know?
It has to be getting close to 9 years.
Yeah, it has. It kind of was a weird experience. I wasn't even wanting another client, and he kind of just came to me, and I don't know why my eyes are watering. That's so embarrassing. Okay. Yeah. So he came to me on an emergency placement, and I was like, okay, I'll just help out because I'm friends with other people and have been before Restoring Hope. And so of course I want to help out. I even called Whitney the other day and told her I would help out on some other kid that I don't even really have any contact with at all. But I'm just like, well, I could offer lots of experience in that situation because I've seen her grow over, probably 7, 8, 9 years. Yep. So you can help with what's going on and the repeated patterns. behavior that are causing the issues and
disruptions.
Yeah, the disruptions, and, eliminate those. And then that person can go on and have a good life and, really go so much further than they probably could without those supports. So,
yeah. So tell me about your guy. So you were just helping out, and here we are almost 9 years later. And you are his person.
Yes.
You guys are his family.
My baby. Yeah. Yes. He calls me mom, which I tried to redirect for years because you don't know what's going to happen. And I kind of learned my lesson before, and I was ready to jump on board, and it didn't happen. And so I just didn't want to go through that again. But he's amazing. He has come so far. He was a completely different person when he moved in with me, and he had a huge behavior when he moved in. And he actually walked 8 miles, got in the car with somebody that was a felon, and he didn't get in the car normally. He got in their trunk. The police passed me, and I'm like hanging out the window. That's So they pull it back around and get him, and he tells them horrible things about me. He tells them that, I was doing mean things to him, and all this stuff, just things you wouldn't imagine that I or anybody really would do. But it happens. But anyway, so the officer's like, ma'am, he doesn't want to go back with you. And I'm like, he doesn't have a choice. These are my supports. Call these people. Okay, I know this officer in the community who can vouch for me and tell you who I am. But this kid ain't going nowhere else. Yeah. And I'm like, you could detain him if you need to, but he ain't going with those people or anybody else other than me or one of these people. So anyway, finally he gets bored with it, and he's like, okay, I lied. Just out of the blue. Okay, I lied. Can I just go back home? I want to play my video game. And the officer's like, what? And so they give him back to me, and we're driving home, and I just told him, look, this is the last time I will ever do anything like this. If this ever happens again, then you probably are going to be happier somewhere else, because I can't do this. This is ridiculous. I'm like, my hands are shaking. My stomach's upset. I just can't do this. This is craziness. And I explained to him that there was a different kind of life that he could have if he wanted it. But he would have to, choose and decide, did he want to do things like this? Right. Or did he want to have a life where he could go see things like the ocean and maybe go to another country and, just a normal life, like a family life and, consistency, basically. Yeah. And he told me that he wouldn't do it again. And I'm like, okay, I know you're going to do it again, but we're going to try to, build Make some it longer. Skills. Yeah. And hopefully, at least the part of the journey that you spend with me, you'll have coping skills and, some, impulse control. Yep. Skills that you can use. And so he stayed, and his family started talking to me, and they were very determined for Tristan to stay with my husband and I. And we, again, had 2 placements. We were planning on leaving the country with them, and we did not want another placement. But his family was very consistent. Tristan was completely different after that. Like, he was more curious. He was very hesitant about his own decision making, and he almost looked to the girls for like how to function in our home. Yeah. And the girls are both older. And so they kind of mama henned him and he just ate it up. It was amazing. So it's like he's their little brother, basically. Yeah. And they look out for him. They make him coffee in the morning. They limit the amount of sugar he can put in his coffee in the morning.
Sure.
He goes back and gets more, but they make it without all the sugar. They feed him breakfast in the morning. It's like we're a little family, and it's like he's got 3 moms.
Yeah.
And 1 dad. And he still has contact with his dad or his grandpa, who is his guardian.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a little family, basically. So I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
But it did. And I think it's just the natural progression of things. You know, if you have somebody that's in your home and you're sharing your life with them, they're going to become part of your family. It doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think that until you see it or experience it, it's hard to understand when new homes come in. I think that you come in with an idea of what you want it to look like, and then life happens and it looks totally different.
That's important to mention, is that your idea of what anything looks like is, I mean, hopeful, you know, but probably not realistic.
Yeah.
Because life happens and it changes. And I just turned 50. You came to my surprise party. I was stunned. I was a little beside myself. I wasn't sure what to do. But it's crazy. You know, you have your plans, but God has his plans. And you're pretty much just a servant to what his plans are. And you kind of just got to go with it and, you know, make the best of your situation and, you know, help as many people as you can along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, like Tristan, for example, you know, when years ago, when you and Dawn started doing this, it was like, okay, we want to support kids. Ultimately, Tristan was your 6'2" 6-year-old that you got.
Yeah.
And because he missed a lot of those childhood experiences. And
so it's been like raising.
Right. Just a different version than what I'm sure you had anticipated it looking like.
Yeah, but I got to buy him all new clothes and we started all over. And I mean, we've gone through the whole decorating his room now like 5 different times, and we're on Batman now. And so it's amazing just to have those experiences. And I really felt like I was missing out by not having a kid.
Yeah.
And God provided. And here are my kids.
Yeah.
You know, all 3 of them need me there for whatever reason. Yeah. And there's a reason they're in services. It's not just an easy way to make money.
Right.
But it's very rewarding. I mean, I just can't tell you how rewarding it is. And all my friends think I'm crazy. I mean, they literally think I'm crazy. Some of our friends don't come over anymore.
Sure.
We go out for drinks with them, or we go out to dinner. And I've learned that I don't have my elderly grandpa around.
Sure.
I just go and have a relationship with him separate and then, you know, come back home. But even my family has just kind of enveloped them as if they were kids. My mom gets them shirts from the Elks Club, and she volunteers with the American Honor Flight. And so she gets them, you know, leftovers from that. Yeah. And, you know, they're her family too. Yeah. And so I think that's why I've been able to do so well. And for so many people, is that I have all of these supports. Yeah. Including the other host homes, which I'm, you know, intimate friends with.
Right.
It just is an easy way to, you know, make somebody's life 100,000 times better.
Yeah. And we talk about it, you know, with raising kids, that it takes a village. In a host home, it absolutely takes a village.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
with new host homes, we talk about get connected.
That's key.
It
is. Get connected. You need somebody that has been doing this for a long time that you can call and, just have a relationship with them, have a relationship with your relief staff, know that you can call them anytime and they can call you anytime. And, you're a parent.
Yeah.
You can't turn that off even if you're, off.
And I think that having those relief connections are so important because life does happen, whether it's, with our own lives and own situations or our family's situations, and having those relief connections are so important to take one piece of the puzzle off being stressful. So I know you guys had a tornado last year that you guys were hit by.
Oh my gosh.
And the reality is that stuff happens and it's not a place of work. It's our house. And
who knew that could happen in Missouri? I had no clue it was even possible for a tornado to hit my property like it hit me. I mean, it basically just slapped me sideways a couple of different ways. We had trails all the way through our 80 acres for Tristan so he could ride his four-wheeler, back into the woods, and he can't ride that anymore. I mean, it was a big thing. Yeah. We're still cleaning up now.
Yeah. And I just in that situation, as much of they are your kids and your placements and you're their family, relief is super important when those types of things happen or you're sick or someone has, surgery, things like that, because you can't take care of them if you're not in a place to be able to do that. And so those types of situations, having that, first relief person or two to be like, hey, can you help me out with my people because I have this going on? I feel like that is such a huge relief for host homes. And it makes an easy transition for those individuals when something is going on. It doesn't seem scary. It's just I'm going to my relief person's house that I'm super comfortable with and enjoy going to also.
And you've trained that relief staff to, redirect and to interact the same way that you would be. And so there's a lot of consistency and prediction in them going to that person's house versus someone else that doesn't know them, that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
And they really don't mind going. They like going. Yeah. Oh, we get to go back to that person's house. I'm so excited, but I get to come home Sunday, right?
Yep.
And my relief staff even told me that they're excited to come back home, but they're also excited to go. So, I mean, what a great opportunity for them.
They're excited on Friday afternoons to go,
and then they're ready to come home
and on Sundays. And you've had a lot of the same relief
for
years, which has created so much consistency for all three of your individuals. Something we haven't hit on. So the three placements that you have all have biological family that either, are guardians, they're involved. How have you been able to bridge that? Because I know that can add challenges. How have you been able to bridge that where you guys can be a support together and it not be a them versus us mentality?
Communication. Basically, if they're not on board, I don't take that placement. I mean, I want somebody that I can communicate with, that I can call for a support if I need their help redirecting on something, or if they need to know something, I want to know that I can get a hold of them, that they have an interest in participating in that relationship. Because I've found out the hard way that sometimes they say they do want to participate and they really don't. And that is so difficult for that person. And so they almost need a break. And I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah.
So I make sure that the guardian's on board from the get-go. I let them know that I'm going to call you. You're going to get sick of hearing from me. I'm that kind of placement. I'm sorry, but if you're not on board with this, then, it's not a good place.
Yeah.
So I just try to have a lot of boundaries and prediction for everyone that I deal with.
Yeah, which is great. And I mean, when the situation works where they can have the best of both worlds, where they can have relationships with their family, but also,
it's ideal.
It is the village that we are wanting to create for all of our individuals. And of course, we live in an imperfect world, especially within our industry, so it doesn't always work. But I feel like for some of yours, they've been able to get the best of both worlds, as far as they don't have to, they can still maintain those relationships with their family, but also build this entire different life.
Yes.
And they be merged together. I know one of my favorite things to see, not just in your home, but I know you do a really good job of it. Your people love their birthdays, and you celebrate their birthdays really, really big for them. But when, all of their people are showing up for them, it's their host home, their relief home, their sisters, their moms, all of those things, so that everyone is there. I just think that that's the ultimate, best case scenario.
Because they have a community of support. Then I even have, some old people that used to do the host home relief that come and visit them and pick them up for lunch. It really is important for, not only us to have friends and supports, but for them to also to be successful.
Yeah.
And you are teaching them how to have relationships, and, you're modeling constantly, and how you interact with other people teaches them how they should interact with other people. And you got to think that they probably haven't had such a positive model of that before they came to you.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of override a lot of things. But I think that's the one thing probably that I do the best is the communication. I'm upfront and honest with everybody involved. I like that, my guardians know when I call, it's serious, and I'm not going to bother you if it's not, but I want you to know this. And if it's not super important, I might just text it to you so you're aware. That helps so much to have that reinforcement. My families are amazing about that. I really lucked out on a couple of families, which are, even, scholars in my community even. Sure. So that helps a lot too. But they can't have them back.
Yeah. And I know with a few, like your two girls, how they'll reference, like, I'm going to live here forever. I feel like that's ultimately, like, they're happy and they're content in their life if they want to live there forever. And I know you've referenced it that, you want them forever. And so I feel like they've built a life with you guys that is so special to both them and you guys.
Yes, definitely. They're amazing. They're absolutely part of our family.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you've referenced a couple of times, like seeing the ocean, leaving the country. Tell me about some of the experiences that you've been able to give your girls or your placements.
We took them to Mexico, got them passports. First of all, they didn't even know what a passport was.
Right.
So we got them passports. Neither, I think Bobby had, one of my Bobbies had seen the ocean before with her family, but I think it was just like a family trip, I'm not sure how that worked. But the other one said she hadn't. And so we decided we were going to go to the ocean. Well, my father-in-law goes to South Padre every year. So we thought, well, we'll just go down there and stay for a month or two.
Right.
So, we decided to go. We took them and they got passports and we headed on the road and we stayed at a hotel every other, like we would stay the night and then we would get up and drive for, 6 or 8 hours, whatever they would tolerate, and then we'd stay in the hotel again.
Yeah.
And we try to stay in nicer hotels. So they have, the hors d'oeuvres and they have drinks, and the girls figured out really quick that they love the drinks. So we go down and we ask for mocktails.
Yeah.
But so they figured out really quick they like to stay in hotels. So they kind of just expect at this point, I mean, after years of doing this, that we get to go somewhere and stay in a hotel every 3 to 5 months.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it. So anyway, back to going to Mexico. So we went down to South Padre. We stayed. We got, pretty much everything figured out as far as what was there in South Padre, because we were there for a while. We hung out and did everything they wanted to do. And then, you kind of start exploring out from there. Well, then we decided we were going to go to Mexico. Well, neither of them have ever been, out of the country.
Right.
I mean, Bobby O was born in Canada, but that was when she was a child. She's a dual citizen, but she doesn't have a, can travel passport. So we had to get all of that. And the girls were crazy nervous going across the border. It was insane. One of them started crying. The other one refused to let me go ahead of her and then her go. No matter how I phrased it, she was latched onto me. She was not going to let them do it. And there's officers everywhere.
Sure.
So you're like, you've predicted this. You've prompted them about this. And it's not going the way you wanted it to go. Again, not going as planned.
Yep.
So, anyway, I get across and she starts screaming. And then I'm like, okay, I need to just go back. And the guy's like, ma'am, no, you can't go back. So I'm like yelling across, okay, I expect you to use your coping skills now. The guy thinks I'm insane. She immediately stops. The whole situation resolves quickly after that. And she runs, as quickly as she can across, despite the fact that he's trying to wand her. So she gets back over to me and we're all good then. And then the other one comes through and we went and walked on Mexico, the main street there, outside of Brownsville. And, the girls were just amazed because, everybody's trying to sell something to you. And one of my girls has a very difficult time with impulse control.
Sure.
Like if she has $1, she wants to spend that $1 100 different ways.
Sure. And that would be very easy to do in Mexico.
She's going to have something to say about that. So I have to tell her, you have to look around for at least an hour before you decide what you're going to buy so that she could, do it. And then we went by the elementary school and they saw that it had a dirt floor and, it was just, it was such a different experience for them. One that, they clearly had never had.
Sure.
But it kind of gives your life perspective then, when you see things like that, it kind of makes you, wake up and I think it matures you even. So it definitely gave the girls a different perspective. We stayed there, we visited, we went back across. Going back across was okay, even though they wanted to look at all of our stuff and check it for tariffs, which one of my girls didn't think that was okay. No, you're not touching my stuff. It's mine. I paid for it. I told you.
Right.
So I had to tell her it's okay. He just wants to see if we need to owe him a little bit more money. And I'll even pay it for you. Well, as soon as I told her I'd pay it for her, she's like, okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so yeah, that's how that went. I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Where we were going.
And I think that, I think a lot of our individuals have not had experiences like that. And so, and when our individuals travel, it's one of my favorite things to hear about. And so, but
it's
sometimes
amazing.
They don't always go as planned.
No,
or they don't start that way.
Nothing is ever going to go as planned. I can tell you that if you are someone like me who needs prediction and needs a plan, it's great. And that's a good tool for you to use.
Sure.
To, make your life hopefully go in the direction that you would like it to. But God has a different plan. And you may or may not have control over the direction that you go. Yeah. So, yeah, that was my point.
Yeah. Okay. So I know we've talked about it before and I talked to other host homes about it. Like there's good days and there's bad days.
Yes.
How do you handle the hard days being a host home?
We have a lot of structure, a lot of routine. If we have a bad day, we don't go anywhere. That's a sign that person is overstimulated. There is too much going on. They can't self-regulate. And so you almost have to regulate for them. And sometimes that means staying home for the day. So if we have a behavior and you're, maybe harmful to someone else or to yourself, then we're going to stay home for 24 hours. So you can show me now that you can get yourself back under control and self-regulate. And those days are okay. Mm-hmm. I need them sometimes.
Okay, so with the 3 individuals you have right now, they have, natural families, biological families involved, are guardians. But prior to these individuals, you had a couple of children's division kiddos. What was your experience working with the younger kids in the host home setting?
It was a little bit more frustrating, just because of some inconsistencies with working with a different division that they run through. I was pretty disappointed with the supports that were there in place. And my real issue with that was that you have this person who's supposed to be this child's guardian making all the decisions in their life. And they sometimes don't see them ever.
Right.
And they change frequently. And they, are doing what they think is best for that child. But they don't know. They don't listen to the host home. They sometimes will communicate with the program managers in our program a little bit, but it's not the person that should be making the decisions for that child. And I saw that over and over again. And so I actually don't work with that agency anymore because of the inconsistencies that they provide. And it just makes your situation 100 times harder.
Yeah. And I would say that there's a lot more, children's division is less predictable than DMH. And I feel like there's a lot more factors that we have little to no control over, which can be really challenging. I know we deal with it on the program manager side that, like reunifications, for example. A judge and a guardian will be pushing for reunification, but the host home, the counselor, the program manager, the people that are seeing them day in and day out know how detrimental this is going to be, and then they proceed on with it. And so I know that happens all the time within the children's division setting that we work in.
I agree with reunification. I think it's a great program. But if the parents have given up rights and they haven't had contact with this child in, 5 years or 2 years,
sure,
really probably reunification isn't going to work.
Right.
And the parents really have to be willing to do the work to do the reunification that the judge wants.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes is an issue.
Yeah. And then, there's just lots of factors, with children's division that I feel like once we get through that and get them to adulthood, it looks a little bit more consistent for them, which also, allows more consistency on our side of things.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we've talked about, good days, bad days. What about self-care? Self-care is a huge piece of being able to be a host home long-term.
Yes,
so
it is.
What do you do to be able to stay in a positive frame of mind and also just in good headspace so that you are able to support them day in and day out?
I make sure and have regular time. I am pretty consistent with my relief. I have a calendar app that I use to schedule my relief. I have no trouble finding relief. I have lots of great people that I've been working with, sometimes for 10 or more years, that have come to Restoring Hope with me.
Right.
That still provide relief for me. I even have some that I haven't used in a while, but they still have a link to my calendar. Mm-hmm. And so literally I'll schedule 6 months of relief in about 5 minutes. So they're watching the calendar. They know what's going on. They want to be with my people as bad as I want to be with my people. So we take every other weekend off.
Good.
Every other weekend off, no matter what. And then if my grandparents need something, they're getting older. My grandpa just moved into Effendale Manor in Springfield. And so they're pretty urgent with their needs. And if they need something, they want it now. And, you know, they've waited their whole life and they're not going to wait anymore, I guess.
Yep.
So with Dawn doing this also, it gives me the opportunity that I can kind of just go take care of them. My people come home. They know how to deal with things. I've set up the routine and I've got everything prepared. So they kind of just go into, you know, life as it would be if I was there, and they have the same expectations. We have a calendar on the wall. You almost build in support for yourself so that you're not chasing your tail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I have the relief every other weekend. I have a calendar on the wall that predicts what the expectations for that day are for every single person, including myself and my husband, so that everybody feels equal, even though they don't mind that my list is a lot longer than theirs.
Sure.
But, you know, you get the point. You're just doing a lot of predicting. And that's how I get my, you know, time for self-care. There are times, like I said, when it's difficult and you have to go hide in your bathroom that your husband's remodeled for you and made it extra special with speakers in the ceiling and, you know, incense or, you know, whatever you want to put in there.
Right.
Take a hot shower with some eucalyptus tabs that Emily sends you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't hesitate to take a minute if I need it. I use structured prediction. And I tell them, okay, I'm going to go take a minute. I expect you to, you know, be doing this, or you can do this, you know, why I'm taking a minute. I'm frustrated, and I just kind of tell them what's going on. And so they know, hey, she's frustrated right now. Yeah. I'm going to give her a minute because I know when I'm frustrated, I need a minute too.
Yep.
So self-care is kind of built in, you know, between relief and, you know, the things that you can do to get away. We have a huge farm.
Which is
all
nice.
Of our people like to ride side by sides. We go out and have campfires, and, you know, you can go outside and cut a tree down if you're frustrated. Yeah. You know, you're going to be less frustrated when you work that out. So I'm just like the consumers.
Yeah. You guys are always building something, adding something.
My husband is amazing.
Yes, you guys are always doing something. And so just from talking to Tristan and Bobby and different things, you guys have done everything from greenhouse to...
Yes.
I know you've had lots of different types of animals that you guys have added. Tell me, like... what does that look like for them? Like their responsibilities, their input, you know, what does that look like for them?
Well, my neighbors bring me animals that are sick. It's not my fault. We have random animals.
Okay.
So yeah, we've had lots of different things. An albino peacock. We had a pig named Kevin Bacon. Just different things people show up with.
Sure.
So I never say no. My husband says no. But he doesn't necessarily have the final say.
Sure.
So we have lots of random animals show up. So when you're caring for them, you start caring for them. And so we've had a turkey named Floyd. I mentioned the other animals. I think that it has a lesson in it. And, through that, I've always loved animals. I wanted to go to college to be a vet. And my mom said, absolutely not. And so I decided, well, I'll be a teacher. That'll be effective. I mean, I'll just make a meagerly salary and work my butt off for the rest of my life. I don't know what I was thinking. But so that didn't work for me either.
So you're just a vet at home now?
So yeah, now I'm a vet at home.
Yeah.
I actually pull calves, and goats have gave birth, and we've rescued all these different animals. But like I said, the lesson in that is for them too, because they learn, sometimes we didn't have a plan to have a baby peacock that, couldn't walk and, needs care every couple of hours. And, you're responsible for that. So if you don't provide that little thing's not going to make it.
Right.
And so they've learned through that. Sometimes I have a baby pig in bed with us, and we're feeding the baby pig every couple of hours. That you have to sometimes not do what you want. You have to do what's necessary and what the moment demands. And that teaches them that it's okay to divot and not to have a plan, or to have a plan that sometimes just didn't work.
Yeah, changes.
And, let's talk about that, and let's figure out, what happened and whether it worked or not. Maybe it didn't work and we had the best time.
Yeah.
And, so.
I know just from having conversations with them, nothing's off the table either. Whether they want to have this or they want to have this or they want to build something.
They're adults.
They're dreaming of things that they can create at home, which I think is so special that they're, you've impacted them in that way that I know that's how you're wired, but they're also, developing that based on, well, we could do this or we could do that. And
people believe Tristan is my child.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a tree house. Bobby has a greenhouse.
Yeah.
I have a greenhouse that's 72 foot by 32 foot.
Yeah.
Like you said, we do lots of projects.
Yeah.
I have a bulldozer.
Yeah.
I hurt my leg badly on a bulldozer because I gave my father-in-law crap that I needed a bulldozer, and he bought me one. So, yeah, anything's possible. Mm-hmm. Everything's on the table. Don't you feel like that in your life, though, that anything is possible and everything is on the table?
Yeah.
And I just don't take no for an answer in my life. Like, that's not an option for me. I kind of think of it, okay, you said no for these reasons, but for these reasons, I think it should be yes. Let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm that way in everything. If you're having a behavior, okay, let's talk about it. Okay, let's just sit down and talk and figure out what's going on and come up with a solution rather than wasting a whole bunch of time on that unnecessary stuff that nobody wants to deal with.
Yeah. And I think that your mentality definitely influences the three that's in your home, because they have that mentality as far as, even if it is a no, we have mom in our corner and she'll see what she can do to make it happen. And so I think that, is so special for them to have.
We really do care for them, and they are absolutely part of our family. We absolutely love them. And I literally never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that I would have had three complete strangers in my home living that I would never expect to leave.
Right.
But I absolutely don't. We are making plans for them to be able to stay in our house long after we're dead. It just changes your story. And it's amazing the difference that you can make for, maybe just one person. Maybe you're not like me and want to go full force.
Yep.
But I'm just that kind of person that, I kind of just run at things that I'm interested in, and that usually works for me, or it doesn't, and I deviate.
Supports is a big piece of being a host home. What types of supports are really important to being successful as a host home?
I think that the fact that I live in a small town and that I know, the officers, not all of them, but some of the officers in our local town, the sheriff has come and called bingo at the senior center where we go once a month. And, I think that the community supports are important because you need those in your daily life. And so that teaches, again, our clients that they need those in their daily life too. And so you're almost teaching them how to behave in society. You're teaching them how to have relationships, how to interact with other people. And if you don't have those experiences, if you just stay home all the time, you don't get those skills, and you want them to be able to eventually go out without you.
Right.
And some of them really probably are never going to be able to do that, but some of them can.
Yeah.
And that is so amazing to me is that, just if given the right supports, some of them really can.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
okay. Any last bit of advice that you would have for, let's say, incoming homes or people thinking about becoming homes, or opening their homes?
Oh my God, I have so much advice. I think my number one thing is never send your client to anyone's home that you haven't been to.
Yeah.
I think that that's very important for you and for the clients. I think that you should have a community, make sure that you have a support system for yourself in other host homes and people who understand what you're doing, even if it's just other social workers that you've worked with in the past, somebody that you can kind of vent and process and think things through with, because sometimes your initial reaction to a situation is not necessarily the best reaction.
Yep.
And sometimes I have to remind myself just to kind of give myself a little bit of grace, because I think I'm probably a lot harder on myself than I would be on somebody else sometimes. And especially when it doesn't go as I have predicted to myself that it should go.
Yep.
But, if you're open to something different in a different way to make a living, this is a great way to make a living, a great way to change somebody's life. Like I said, to almost make a wish life, instead of something, horrible, or maybe something that wasn't so horrible, but wasn't as much as they could have been.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I will continue to advocate for Restoring Hope. And I love working with you. I love telling other homes about you, and I love talking to somebody new. I think it's important that they do relief before they take a placement, just because there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yep.
And it's a lot more work than it appears from the outside.
Absolutely.
And you have to have a plan. You have to have structure. You have to be able to run your ship. And if you're willing to do that, and, it does take a lot of extra work, but, hopefully you have an exit plan. I have an exit plan. Being able to make a difference for them is very important to me. And I feel like this was God's plan for me to, just maybe be able to put a little sunshine in their life and make a difference for, the probably 20 people I've had through this whole process, with Restoring Hope and then before Restoring Hope. and the ones that hopefully I will have in the future. If some of my things that I have go in right now work out. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think you touched on getting your feet wet with relief. And we say that in every orientation. And I think that it's no different than bringing someone new into your home or you having a baby. Like there is an adjustment period. In our world, you think you know what it's going to look like until you have someone in your home and it's a total disruptor. And you can support all different types of individuals through relief. You can, support a young child, you can support an aging adult, you can support everything in between to really figure out what is that match.
That's the key to making a successful connection is knowing what works for you and your family. I have to take into a lot of consideration about my husband. He was willing to do this with me, but maybe not willing to do it full time. And so we've figured out what works for us and what works for our home. And he does mornings and I do afternoons. And, you have to figure out what your life looks like and, what, they feel like their life should look like. And then you kind of try to merge the two. And it's really not a parenting child situation. I mean, it is in some areas, but in other areas, they're an adult. And so they need to be able to feel like an adult and feel safe and secure in their home and to know that they're safe and, there's no chance of, anything happening and they're secure. And once somebody has that, it's amazing how they bloom.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the flowers in my yard that I'm willing to share with anybody.
Yeah.
They just grow up and it's amazing to see that transition and I'm sold.
Yeah.
Even if something happened with, one of the ones that I have and they weren't able to stay with me, I probably would do this as long as I could. And then, long after I'm willing to even do it, I want to make sure that, my people and other people still have this opportunity.
Yeah. And I think that, when looking at the model, it is as natural living as what we get outside of the industry. They get to come home to the same people every night. They get to eat dinner with their family. They get to wake up to the same people that were supporting them the day before, which is the exact same thing that we get in our lives and people get, in the world. We get to do that in a little bit more of a controlled setting, but we get to provide that to them. And a lot of times without, that host home setting, it's, different shift staff coming in a couple of times a day.
Yeah. Before this, I worked at a residential care facility.
Yeah.
And you can't imagine the difference in the level of care, the life, the lifespan, everything about this model works where the residential care models don't.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less money. I think it's like a third of the cost the last time that I was, into doing that.
Yeah.
And it's just the way to go. It just makes so much sense. And like I said, so many other states have already begun this and are way in deeper than Missouri. And what a great way to save money so you can help other people in other programs or maybe even other people in this same situation that would qualify for a program like this. We just need some social workers and some service coordinators to really advocate for this model and, maybe a little more consistency, with the different programs that are involved. And I really feel like this could be a happily ever after for so many people.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.